The CEOs of Facebook, Twitter, and Alphabet faced another round of grilling from lawmakers on the subject of disinformation in social media. But the difference of opinion over who is responsible for content on internet platforms came from the CEOs themselves.
I don't think anyone wants a world where you can only say things that private companies judge to be true.
Our ability to provide a range of information and viewpoints, while also being able to remove misinformation, is possible only because of legal frameworks like Section 230.
Former FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler has seen tech from both sides, as a regulator and as an investor. We asked him whether there was any regulation that could fix misinformation on social media.
I was interested that Mark Zuckerberg, as he was questioned by Congressman Welch, seemed to endorse the idea of a new digital platform agency, which is something that a group and I have been advocating for some time, as you know. So I think that Congress is actually trying to find what solutions might be, and that for the first time, we began to hear the CEOs yesterday saying that they might be receptive.
So I wonder, Tom, from your experience, can you have a new agency, a digital platform agency really involved in this, setting standards, maybe enforcing standards, and not curtail innovation? Because that's the argument you always hear is once you start doing that, you're going to really squash a lot of innovation. It might not hurt Facebook, but it might hurt the next Facebook.
The key to that is that we need to have a regulatory structure that relates to the realities of today's digital markets, rather than being built around the assumptions of yesterday's, what worked for yesterday's industrial markets. And then when you stop and think about it, the regulation that you and I are used to is industrial era concepts, industrial era structures. And we're not suggesting that's where you go now. Those are rigid, sclerotic, and can have a negative impact.
Tom, it strikes me as you think about industrial era regulation, basically we were regulating people. I mean, there might have been trains, but there was somebody driving the train or setting the price for the train. I wonder if that's true here, because the thing making the decision often is an algorithm, it's not a person. Is that an entirely different way to approach regulation?
Yes, and what is that algorithm dealing with? It is dealing with data, with digital information. So the capital asset of the 21st century is data. How did the companies that were before the committee yesterday manage to get such a chokehold on economic activity? It was because they control the principal asset, and that's data. It's the data that drives the algorithms. So just like Rockefeller controlled oil, they control data, and we got to say, okay, how do we make sure that there's interconnection amongst those data so that there's not a series of choke points?
As I understand the algorithms, they basically designed to say, take the most engaging piece of information, which unfortunately, because we're human, is often the most controversial or the most outrageous, and put it up to the top of the queue. Is that a basic feature? Can you ever fix that problem?
Well, it's kind of like Dr. Frankenstein, isn't it? You create these software algorithms that then go run off and you don't even know what they're doing. So one of the big issues you got to deal with is how do we get insight into what the algorithms are doing? How do you understand? How do you get transparency? You know, Mark Zuckerberg, to his credit, keeps saying, well, we've got all of these kind of interventions. Okay, that's nice, but we don't have measurement for those interventions. We don't have oversight of those interventions. We don't know where you draw the line between a PR move and something that's really substantive. And that's where we need to be going when we talk about an algorithm-driven economy. I think we also have to make sure that what goes into and comes out of those algorithms are open. Today, they're secret. You know, a Facebook algorithm makes a decision to send a piece of information that has come in out to David, and nobody knows about it, including at Facebook. And so I think we need to have open APIs, application programming interfaces, which is the way software talks to each other, so that people can build their own algorithms